O great oracle of Uforo, accept our sacrifice this new moon.
Previously, in the oracle's daughter, a child was born on the most forbidding night in the history of Uforo Kingdom. The river stopped, the drums went silent, and the oracle wept. The sacred baobab tree split open, and the oracle was found dead 1 hour later. And the 7-year-old girl placed her glowing palm against the broken bark of that tree, and something ancient answered from below. That was 3 days ago. And in those 3 days, the kingdom of Uforo has not slept. 3 days after the baobab split, the kingdom of Uforo was a different place. People moved through the stone streets faster than before, voices low. Nobody lingered at doorways the way they used to. The marketplace, usually the loudest place in all of Uforo, was half empty. Traders packed their goods early. Mothers pulled children inside before dark. Because something had changed in the air of Uforo. Not a smell, not a sound. Something older than both. The feeling that something had been disturbed in the deep places beneath the kingdom. And that whatever it was had not gone back to sleep. The split baobab tree at the center of the kingdom square stood surrounded now by a wide circle of empty ground. Nobody walked near it. Nobody looked at it directly. Children who used to play in its shade every afternoon now crossed to the other side of the square without being told. Even the kingdom dogs refused to go near it. Only one person was not afraid of it: Amaka. Every morning, before the kingdom walk, Adize would find her daughter standing before the split tree, not touching it, just watching it, like she was waiting for it to say something, like she could already hear it trying. It was a Tuesday morning. The kingdom school had just begun. Children sat on carved Iroko wood benches in the Royal Learning Hall. The elder teacher Mazi Obi standing at the carved teaching board at the front. Amaka sat at the back of the hall. As always, she sat slightly apart from the other children. Not because anyone told her to, but because the children around her always seemed to shift slightly away without realizing they were doing it. Kofi sat beside her, as always. The lesson that morning was the history of the Uforo kingdom. The great kings, the ancient wars, the founding of the kingdom wars. Mazi Obi was speaking about the 3rd king of Uforo, a warrior king named Ezego, who had built the outer kingdom walls that still stand today. And then Amaka raised her hand. The room went quiet. Amaka almost never spoke in class. Mazi Obi looked at her carefully. Yes, Amaka. Amaka stood. Her face was different this morning. Paler, more still than usual. Her eyes, which were always watchful, were now focused on something nobody else in the room could see. Something just above Mazi Obi's head. Something standing behind him that was not there. The east wall, Amaka said. Her voice was calm, clear. The voice of a 7-year-old girl with the weight of something ancient behind every word. The east wall will fall before the next full moon. Silence. Complete silence. Then one child at the back laughed nervously. "Why do you say that?" Maziobi asked carefully. Amaka turned her eyes from the invisible thing behind the teacher and looked directly at him. Because they are already pulling it down from underneath. They have been pulling it since the night the tree split. Another silence. Longer this time. "Who?" Maziobi asked. His voice was steady, but his chalk had stopped moving. "The ones from the other side of the river," Amaka said simply. "The ones the kingdom forgot to honor. The ones whose names were removed from the ancestor wall in the year of the 4th king. Nobody in that room had ever heard of names being removed from the ancestor wall. Nobody except Maziobi. And from the expression that moved across his face in that moment, the color draining from his dark skin, the chalk falling from his fingers, he knew she was telling the truth. Maziobi dismissed the class 10 minutes early. He said nothing about why. But as the children filed out into the kingdom courtyard, the whispers had already started. By the time the morning meal was being prepared in the kingdom, 30 minutes later, every family in Uforo had heard. The oracle's daughter had spoken. Children carried the news. Servants carried it faster. Market women carried it fastest of all. By midday, the kingdom square was filled with people. Not shopping, not walking, standing in groups, talking fast, voices rising. Some people were afraid. Some people were angry. A small group near the marketplace said what many were thinking, but few were willing to say aloud. She should never have been kept. The oracle warned us. New moon children bring catastrophe. And now look, 7 years later, the tree has split, and the child is already speaking destruction into existence. A woman near the well said, she did not speak destruction. She spoke warning. There is a difference. By afternoon, Chief Okafor had called an emergency assembly. The entire kingdom gathered in the grand courtyard, the largest gathering since the oracle's funeral 3 days ago. Chief Okafor stood on the high carved stone platform above the crowd, hiding something much less controlled beneath. He spoke slowly, deliberately. The child spoke words this morning that disturbed our peace. I have consulted with the elders. Until we understand the source of what spoke through her, whether ancestor or darkness, the child Amaka will be removed from the school. She will remain in her family compound under the supervision of her parents. She will not enter the kingdom square. She will not speak to other children. This is not punishment. This is protection for her and for all of you. The crowd murmured. Some nodded, relieved. Some shifted uncomfortably. In the back of the crowd, Adazi stood very still. Her face showed nothing, but her hand found Amaka's hand beside her and gripped it. Amaka looked up at her mother, then looked back at the chief. Her expression had not changed. She had known this was coming. She had seen it. In the river, in the faces underneath, 3 days ago. It happened at midnight. Not the full collapse, not yet, but the first crack. A sound like thunder from the direction of the east wall. A deep, resonant groan from deep beneath the earth that woke every sleeping person in the kingdom simultaneously. Kingdom guards rushed to the east wall. What they found was a crack, not a small one, running from the base of the east wall all the way to the top. A crack 3 fingers wide, splitting the ancient stone to sky. The head guard, a veteran warrior named Eze, who had defended the kingdom walls for 20 years, pressed his torch towards the crack and looked inside. What he saw made him step back 3 full paces without thinking. He never told anyone exactly what he saw. But that night, for the first time in 20 years, he went home, woke his wife, and held her hand until morning. While the kingdom was distracted by the east wall, Kofi climbed the back wall of Adaize and Chukwu's compound and found Amaka sitting outside under the night sky. She had been expecting him. "You saw the crack?" she asked. Without turning around, Kofi sat beside her. "The whole kingdom is awake." Amaka nodded slowly. "It is going to get worse," she said, "before it gets better." Kofi was quiet for a moment. "How much worse?" Amaka turned to look at him. In the darkness, the mark on her left palm was glowing very faintly, barely visible, like a coal that had not fully gone out. "The crack in the east wall is not damage," she said. "It is a door. Something is trying to open it from the other side. And every night the moon gets fuller, the pushing gets stronger." Kofi looked at her palm. "What do we do?" Amaka turned back to the sky. "We find the ancestor wall. The one my teacher knows about. The one with the names that were removed. Why? Because whatever is pushing through that wall, those are the names it is pushing with. Their anger is the force. Their forgotten names are the key. If we restore the names, the pushing stops. The door stays closed." Kofi was quiet. Then, because he was Kofi, and because being afraid had never once stopped him, "When do we go?" Amaka almost smiled. Almost. "Tomorrow night, after the kingdom sleeps." But neither of them knew that 3 compounds away, Chief Okafor's most trusted elder, a man named Ichienwosu, was already awake, already writing a letter on old dried palm leaf, the same material the oracle had always used. And the letter said, the child must be sent away before the next full moon. Not confined, away, beyond the kingdom walls, beyond the river, into the forest. This is the only way to close what has been opened. The darkness does not want the kingdom. It wants her. He sealed the letter with red palm oil, addressed it to Chief Okafor, and placed it on his doorstep before dawn. The crack in the east wall grew 2 fingers wider by morning. The kingdom guards doubled. Chief Okafor read the letter 3 times. Adadze found strange wet footprints, not human, outside her daughter's bedroom window that nobody could explain. And deep beneath the split baobab tree, in the dark hollow where the purple light pulsed, something that had been sleeping for 400 years opened its eyes for the first time and turned them toward the small compound where a 7-year-old girl with a glowing mark on her palm was planning to sneak out the next night. It already knew. It had always known. It was waiting for her to come to it. To be continued in episode 3, The Oracle's Daughter, The Ancestor Wall. 2 children, 1 forbidden map, a wall of forgotten names hidden beneath the oldest building in the kingdom, and something that has waited 400 years for someone brave enough or foolish enough to find it first.